Hi, PerspectaWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, October 11th. A big weather story this morning across the nation is the extreme cold for this time of the year out across the western part of the U.S. Just an amazing number of weather stations have record low temperatures for the day, and in some cases even monthly temperature records for the month of October out in the western U.S. Of course, there's also unusual early season accumulating snow extending from the Rockies all the way to the northern plains. The biggest snowfall today will take place across the Dakotas, where more than a foot of additional snow can fall, especially across central and eastern North Dakota. But take a look at this map from coolweather.com, COOLWX. These are unofficial readings. Nonetheless, they point out the possibility of numerous record lows for the date. All these areas that have a blue circle encompassed by a white circle are look like unofficial record low temperatures for the day. All of these places out in the western U.S. And there are even a couple of areas here where there are monthly records. Right here, for example, in Raton, New Mexico, and some of these are just shattering the daily records for the day. Currently 10.9 degrees, about 11 degrees, and the old daily record was 22 degrees, so just shattering here, and that is indeed a monthly record for October. Also a monthly record out in Utah, the Proving Grounds, Dugway Proving Grounds, now about 12 degrees. The daily record was 25, just shattering that, and it has reached, unofficial so far, a monthly record for October out at Dugway. Just a widespread area, very, very cold air for this time of the year. And again, heavy snowfall today across the Dakotas, and then that storm system will be moving north and east into the south central part of Canada. Well, here's the latest radar loop from Weather Underground or Telecast.com. Kind of joined forces, and all that snow right now that I was talking about can be seen on the radar here across the Dakotas. Central and eastern North Dakota gets significant snow accumulations today. The frontal system now approaching the western part of the Ohio Valley, the Mississippi Valley, right in this region right here, and some rain. Meanwhile, still some rain across the southeastern part of New England from that offshore low pressure area that slowly meanders maybe a little bit to the south over the next several hours, and really will not be pushed out to sea until this frontal system comes on by towards the eastern seaboard during the middle part of the upcoming weekend. But again, just extreme cold for this time of the year out across the western U.S. and accumulating snow today, primarily focused on the Dakotas. Well, let's take a look at the 850 millibar temperature anomalies from last night's ensemble run of the GFS. This is averaged over the current 5-day period, and a couple things to point out. First of all, this is not a permanent cold wave for the upcoming winter by any means for the western part of the U.S. Still some up and down temperature patterns coming over the next few weeks throughout the nation. Also, this particular blast of cold air will not come into the eastern part of the nation, at least not, certainly not the brunt of it. The brunt of it goes across the western Great Lakes into the southern part of Canada. Maybe some colder air filters into the mid-Atlantic region during the early and middle parts of next week, but again, for the most part, it's centered out over the middle part of the nation over the next current 5-day period, and then slides up to the north and east. In fact, let's now take a look at the next 5 days, days 6 to 10, to see some pretty decent changes on the horizon. And here it is, and rather normal temperature pattern here, averaged over days 6 to 10. That's about October 16th to October 21st. Another cold shot does move into the northwest of the U.S., and there definitely will be cold shots over the next few weeks moving into the country from southwestern Canada into the western U.S., and ultimately some of that cold air does make it into the mid-Atlantic region. So absolutely there will be cold shots throughout the remainder of the month of October. But for this particular 5-day stretch, days 6 to 10, the middle part of October, basically normal on average for that 5 days across the Mid-Atlantic region and much of the Great Lakes region, even warmer than normal across the deep south. Well, let's walk through the forecast maps from last night's 6E GFS model run. We still have low pressure off the Mid-Atlantic coastline, impacting primarily southeastern part of New England. DC, Philadelphia, even New York City, not bad at all today. A mix of clouds and sun. And the weekend starts off pretty nice in the Mid-Atlantic region. There will be a weak disturbance that we'll have to watch for Sunday night time frame. We'll see that in a moment here. It could throw some showers, especially from I-95 points to the east. First of all, big blizzard raging today across the Dakotas. Look at the tight isobar pattern here. These black lines represent equal pressure. The tighter the lines, the stronger the winds. Winds blow parallel to these lines on average, and of course counterclockwise around low pressure areas. So this is a screaming north to northwest wind across the Dakotas, and all this is significant accumulating snow. Let's now push forward here. Again, that storm just kind of sits and spins, which is why North Dakota is especially vulnerable to snowfall today. It could snow for an extended period of time, heavy at times, very, very strong winds, a true blizzard. Here we are in the middle of October, and a true blizzard for the North Dakota region, and some of that accumulating snow extends all the way into the northern half of Minnesota. Then here is that frontal system that certainly becomes weaker in terms of rainfall as it presses to the eastern seaboard. Will be some clouds on Saturday, maybe a shower is squeezed out, but that front basically dries out. What it does do, however, it finally pushes off to the north and east that offshore low pressure system. And then we'll move into the day on Sunday. Little disturbance forms down across the south central states, and it looks like it could throw some clouds, maybe even some showers into the Mid-Atlantic region late Sunday into Sunday evening. It looks like primarily from I-95 points to the south and east. We'll have to watch that. Cannot rule out chance of showers on Sunday or Sunday night in D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. Meanwhile, cold air centered over the western Great Lakes, not blasting into the east. It looks like, again, the brunt of that cold air mass goes to the western Great Lakes and south central Canada over the next few days. Again, we get some colder air filtering in to the Mid-Atlantic region, but here we go into the early part of next week. Monday, decent weather across the Mid-Atlantic region, Columbus Day, and high pressure will stay in control as we get into the middle part of the week. And then we have another frontal system crossing the Great Lakes, and there will be a significant low pressure area down across the southeastern states by, let's say, late Tuesday night time frame. That could evolve into some decent rainfall, which is much needed across the Carolinas, and perhaps could coalesce with this, kind of combine with this frontal system to produce a decent rainfall in the Mid-Atlantic region. That's still speculation right now, but the threat exists for some decent rainfall in the Mid-Atlantic region by the middle part of next week, and we could use that rain around here just like we can use it down across the Carolinas and the rest of the southern U.S. as well. So we'll keep an eye on that for the middle part of next week. But again, the big story today, the extreme cold out in the western part of the U.S. for this time of the year. Many stations reporting record low temperatures for the day, and even a couple of spots have monthly low temperature records. Meanwhile, that low pressure off the Mid-Atlantic coastline still sitting and spinning and meandering around for the next couple of days, mostly just impacting the southeastern part of New England. That's it for now. For PerspectaWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.